The street was quiet as Sarah adjusted her scarf against the biting autumn wind. She hadn't come here by chance. This was the neighborhood where months ago hope had slipped through her fingers and heartbreak had settled heavily in her chest. Her dog, Max, a wiry, energetic terrier with eyes like polished chestnuts, had disappeared from her backyard 6 months earlier. She had searched endlessly for him, driving through towns and fields, posting flyers and calling shelters until her voice cracked. But despite her efforts, he was gone. Sarah still walked the streets every few evenings, as if chasing a shadow. It wasn't logical, she knew, but she couldn't let go. Tonight was one of those nights. Her usual route near the park, her heart resigned, even as her eyes scanned the curbs and alleys as they always did. She was about to cross the street when she heard a bark. It wasn't unusual, this was a city after all, but something about this bark stopped her cold. It was sharp, short, and familiar in a way that made her chest tighten. Her feet moved before her mind could catch up, drawn toward the sound. She followed it down a side road, her heartbeat echoing in her ears with every step. When the sound came again, a muffled yip, she turned the corner and froze. There, sitting outside a convenience store under the glow of a buzzing neon sign, was a dog. His coat was messier now, streaked with dirt and wear. His collar was missing, but the way he sat, that curious tilt of his head paired with the nervous bounce of his legs, it couldn't be anyone but Max. Sarah's breath hitched as she whispered his name. Her voice came out cracked and fragile, the product of months of longing wrapped up in a single syllable. The dog paused like he'd been struck by lightning. His ears shot up, and his head swiveled toward her. For a moment, the world seemed to stop. The dusty hum of traffic faded, the wind stilled. Max stared at her, his body trembling as his enormous eyes locked onto hers. And then he bolted toward her, his movements frantic, like he couldn't reach her fast enough. "Max!" she cried, dropping to her knees as he barreled into her with all the force his wiry frame could muster. His paws clawed at her shoulders, his face buried against her neck like he had to confirm over and over again that she was real. Sarah held on to him tightly, her tears spilling freely as she buried her face in his fur. "I missed you," she whispered, her voice breaking beneath the weight of her relief. Max whimpered and barked in response, licking her face furiously and pawing at her hands like he was afraid she would disappear again. People walking by stopped to watch, their curiosity softening into smiles as they realized what was happening. But for Sarah and Max, the moment was theirs alone, a reunion made of pure love and unfiltered emotion. Months of separation melted away, leaving nothing but the overwhelming relief of being together again. When Sarah finally pulled back to look at him, Max gazed up at her, his tail wagging so frantically that his entire hindquarters swayed with it. She laughed through her tears.
"Think of the first time you saw your dog sprinting through the park or curled up on your lap, so content he had no plans of moving for hours. Or that moment your cat locked eyes with you, deciding you were her person forever. These simple, beautiful connections between us and our pets are truly one of a kind. They become a part of us, a part of our routine, a part of our family. But what happens when they go missing? It's every pet owner's nightmare. The collar left empty, the gate swinging open, and the heart-wrenching search that follows. Your routine changes overnight. You're placing posters on telephone poles, combing neighborhoods, calling shelters, and checking social media. Every creak of a door, every flash of movement in the distance. It all makes your heart jump. We feel helpless. Maybe even hopeless, wondering if we'll ever see our beloved friend again. But as many stories have proven, hope is an incredible force. And today, we're here to celebrate the joy, relief, and downright magic of reunions with our pets. The ones who'd wandered too far, grown frightened too suddenly, or gotten lost simply by accident. These moments remind us why we never stop searching, and why we never stop hoping. Take Sarah and her golden retriever Max, for example. Max slipped out of his leash on a stormy night, frightened by thunder and frantic to find safety. For days, Sarah scoured the city looking for him, refusing to give up even when search after search led nowhere. But just as doubt was creeping in, she got a call from a stranger in a neighboring town. Someone had spotted a drenched, shivering golden retriever on the outskirts of their field. Yes, it was Max. And when Sarah arrived and knelt down, Max raced to her like the thunderstorm had never happened, tail wagging furiously, tongue lapping her tears of relief. Or consider Emily, whose adventure-seeking cat Luna had vanished one sunny afternoon. Emily checked every alley, every bush, and even climbed trees searching for her mischievous feline. Days turned into weeks, and still there was no sign of Luna. Emily posted on every lost pets group she could find, hoping someone spotted Luna lounging somewhere unusual, like cats often do. Then, one day, a neighbor noticed a little paw scratching at their attic window. Turns out, Luna had somehow snuck in during their spring cleaning binge and decided she'd camp there for her own little vacation. When Emily scooped her up, Luna let out a casual meow as if saying, "What took you so long?" For Emily, it didn't matter. Luna was home, safe in her arms, and they were both ready to laugh about it someday. These stories, and countless others, carry an important truth. In the moment when a pet goes missing, it's easy to let waves of fear and sadness overwhelm us. But each success story is proof. There's always hope. The person who sees a tangled leash peeking out of the bushes. The child who finds a scrappy tabby hiding behind the school gym. The social media post shared far and wide, putting the right pair of eyes in the right place. Hope is what drives these connections, piecing the fragments together and bringing our furry friends home. Sometimes the reunions themselves feel destined, like the story of Paul and his elderly dog Bailey. Bailey wandered off during a family camping trip, likely confused by the unfamiliar territory. Paul searched all day and into the night with flashlights, calling Bailey's name into the woods. Days stretched into a painful week, but Paul never stopped trying. Then one afternoon, while walking along a trail, Paul felt something just... He turned a corner, and standing there against all odds was Bailey, muddy but calm, looking up at him like she'd been waiting for him all along. Neither of them could explain how it happened. The important thing was that they were together again. What can we learn from stories like these? First, that the connection we share with our pets is unbreakable. Even distance, time, and adversity can't weaken it. Second, persistence pays off. Whether it's following tips, visiting shelters, or getting the word out, every effort you make increases the chance of a reunion. And perhaps most importantly, hope can light the way. When we hold on to it and act with determination, incredible things can happen, even miracles. If you or someone you know is searching for a missing pet, don't give up. Enlist your community. Tell your friends, your neighbors, local shelters, and online networks. Every small action matters. And if you happen to come across a lost animal yourself, remember that you might hold the key to someone's greatest joy, their reunion. Together, we can create more happy endings, where pets find their way back to the people who love them most. The next time you tuck your dog into bed, or feel your cat purring beside you, take a moment to celebrate that special bond. And if the day ever comes when your pet goes missing, remember the stories of Max, Luna, Bailey, and all the others. Because reunions, even the ones that feel impossible, always start the same way, with hope.
Have you ever held someone or something you missed in your arms and thought, "I can't believe this is real"? Reunions like that are bursting with emotions, joy, relief, even disbelief. They remind us of the bonds that mean the most. 4-year-old Bailey wasn't just a dog, he was family. He grew up alongside the Taylor kids, chasing balls across the backyard, snoozing on their laps during family movie nights. But one spring afternoon, everything changed. It was just another busy Wednesday. The kids were rushing off to soccer practice, and the parents were juggling car keys and grocery bags. In the chaos, someone had left the gate unlatched. When they returned home later that evening, Bailey was gone. The Taylors searched everywhere. They combed through nearby streets, called out his name in neighborhood parks, and knocked on doors asking if anyone had seen a golden retriever with that ridiculously floppy ear. But there was nothing. Days turned into weeks, and while they never stopped looking, hope began to waver. What if Bailey wasn't coming back? Then one day, months later, the Taylor's oldest daughter, Sydney, was scrolling through a local animal rescue's website, something she often did, still holding on to a thread of hope. She clicked on a photo of a golden retriever who looked eerily familiar, but the dog's name wasn't Bailey. The rescue had listed him as Buddy. Sydney's heart skipped a beat. She called the family over, and they all stared at the screen, comparing the markings, the ears, even his posture. The chance seemed slim, but they had to know for sure. An hour later, they were on their way to the rescue. When they arrived, the staff brought out Buddy. As soon as the dog rounded the corner, there was no doubt. His tail began wagging furiously, and he let out a sharp bark, one of those Bailey barks they hadn't heard in months. Tears were already streaming from Sydney's face as Bailey rushed forward, practically throwing himself against her legs. The staff explained that Bailey had been picked up miles away, wandering near a forest preserve. How he ended up there remained a mystery, but seeing him now, healthy and safe, it didn't matter. Bailey was home. In that moment, everything felt whole again. The Taylor kids knelt down, burying their faces in Bailey's golden fur, all but smothering him in hugs. And Bailey, oh Bailey, licked and nudged and barked with absolute joy, almost as if to say, "Where have you all been? I missed you." Reunions like this are a reminder of something beautiful. No matter how far apart we may drift, whether it's days, weeks, or months, there's always the chance to come back together. These moments aren't just about finding what's been lost. They're about rekindling the love we thought we'd lost forever. Have you ever experienced a reunion like this? Maybe it was with a long-lost pet, a childhood friend, or even a family member you hadn't seen in years. We'd love to hear your stories. Take a moment to share them in the comments. And if this story touched your heart, you might enjoy another one about pet care and the incredible ways people help reunite lost pets with their families. Click on the link to watch. It might just remind you why pets truly are family.